But let me tell you something about that. I was actually asked once, what's the hardest thing about, managing so many women? And I always say,
That's what I'm gonna
yeah,
ask.
getting to my office in the morning because blah, 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 we always talk. But I can tell you something else about women. Because we're always so busy, family and this and that and the other and work, we're so good at time management, right? And so when we need to get to work, we get to work. It's amazing to see when you got to leave early because you got to pick up your kids from some, daycare or school or whatever. You have those hours and you're so into the work. I love it. And so while we chit chat and blah, 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 and have all this, fun kind of, complaining about everything about our spouses and our kids and, how much weight we gained. I think that, women specifically are so good at multitasking. And when they need to get the task done, they just get it done.
Welcome to our series entitled The I Am Podcast, a podcast about innovation, business, and most importantly, people. In this series, we'll be talking to founders, executives, and various experts about their vision, challenges, best practices, and lessons learned throughout their journey. Let's get started. Hello and what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the I Am Podcast. Today, I'm so excited. I have an empowered woman. She was recently dubbed as one of the 3 women shaping the future of women's health by Forbes Magazine. She is the CEO at OCON Healthcare. She's Keren Leshem. Hey, Keren, how are you doing?
Hi, May. How are you?
I'm good. Yes, it's the busiest time of the year, but most wonderful in the Philippines. So I'll greet you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas to you too. Thanks for having me.
I thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. First, when we spoke, right, the first call, I really loved your hair. Your personality is amazing, very charming. So, but how are you? How busy are you these days?
Oh, we're always busy. Always busy doing something. Yeah. So, yeah, it's always busy for us. There's no more busy or less busy time, which is great. I'm very thankful that we can be
It's a
busy
good
and healthy.
problem. Okay, so today you are going to share lessons, right? Like lessons about fundraising, how to build board and team, how to restart a startup. So Neil Patel said, if your startup lasts, you're lucky because you've been able to do something that like 90% of new businesses don't. So what if the startup fails? How do you restart a startup? Right? Okay, so, but before that, please introduce yourself more. We'd love to know you a bit more, Keren.
Sure, happy to. So, Keren, I'm currently the CEO of OCON Healthcare. OCON stands for O configuration because everything we do is on a little ball. It looks like this. It's a very little ball that goes inside our uterus. It's a stent, and that's where and how we deliver drugs to that very specific female organ. Yes, we restarted the company about 3 years ago. It was quite a journey. And 25 kilos later, I can tell you that I still feel super privileged to be part of the industry and to create change in the way we can and are able to treat women today and in the future. So we deal in women's health. We have a product that we commercialize currently outside of the U.S., but very soon we'll be in Japan and in China, Canada, Mexico, South America. So we're very excited, with the product portfolio that we're building. But today we're very focused on women pathologies and uterine pathologies, indications and diseases that really cater to most women around the world. 1 in 3 that suffer from heavy bleeding, 7 in 10 that suffer from a fibroid by the age of 50, 8 in 10 women of color. We're looking at endometriosis that they say 1 in 10, but I believe it's 1 in 5 or 1 in 6. And so these are the types of indications we're looking at to really treat at the target tissue inside the uterus without needing to swallow, a lot of medication that have side effects. I come from the industry, even though I'm only 25. I've been around for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Dealt a lot with medical devices and pharmaceuticals and diagnostics. Most of my career was in ophthalmology and eye disease. I only joined women's health when we did restart the company, and that's part of the reason I'm here, in order to restart it in that sense. And a lot of lessons learned. I know we speak about the entrepreneur journey and how difficult it is to get a startup going. But I think that restarting a startup, getting a lot of the brand recognition and some of the mistakes that were made, and these are mistakes that were made, all the time, how to choose your board and, what the product is that you have at hand, really know it, know who's going to use it, and what's the cost of it, and how to manufacture it and where. And of course, a lot of lessons learned around the team, and of course, around fundraising. That's one of the biggest lessons I've learned, and I've done fundraising my entire life, but here it's really a roller coaster because you're fundraising, for a market that's still kind of in development, women's health. On one hand, there hasn't been a lot of work and exits and, investments in the field, but now it's kind of growing. So it's really very optimistic in that sense, but a lot of lessons learned. So I'm really happy to share some of them for some younger entrepreneurs, but also, CEOs and business leaders that are looking to make some changes that are required, especially in this day and age where fundraising is very difficult. And getting products to market is also super, super challenging.
Yes, you mentioned about fundraising. I remember Ohad. So he said the CEO pays most attention to fundraising. Like it keeps the company operating.
I don't know what I'm going to do if I wasn't fundraising. What does a CEO do? I don't know. I just fundraise. That's what I do. I just, ask for money all day. I really don't know what my job is other than that. I told my team if we close the next round, what am I going to do? I'm going to start poking in your business.
Okay.
Absolutely agree.
Women's health. Do you have any personal experience, or how did that idea of like disrupting or transforming, contributing to women's health?
So thankfully, no, I don't have any yet, I guess. 7 in 10 women, if it's not me, it's my other VP or a friend or my mom or, my daughter. But fortunately, I don't currently suffer from any indication. I do lately think that I suffer from one, and one of these treatments could be very helpful for me. But as women, and all of us having our monthly menses and going through the hormonal journey, I think that all of us can relate to what other women go through, even if we don't suffer from these indications ourselves. And I think that is why I also really, really prefer to have women on my team and in my board and as my advisors and supporters, because it becomes a cause, right? It's not just a business, and it's not just how do we make money, but how do we really influence the treatment of women that suffer. And the prevalence is so high. 1 in 3, 7 in 10. This is huge numbers of women. I participated in a panel last week in one of the universities here in Israel, and there was a professor of math that is working on an AI big data app, and he said, most of my work dealt with a certain type of cancer that affects 1% of the entire, world population. But if you look at some of these diseases like menopause, not a disease, but menopause or other diseases like endometriosis and uterine fibroids, he says this is 7 to 10 to 15% of the entire world population. How are we not dealing with this with more, emphasis? And so I thought that was very interesting, because sometimes we look at women as half the population, but when we look at a total of the entire world population, these are huge numbers, 5, 10, 15%.
I'm really glad, to hear this innovation, right? Revolutionizing women's health. But you said you're there to restart the startup, right? Could you tell us, what happened? Were there signals that the problems? Did you diagnose?
So when I joined the company, I didn't join as CEO. I came in as VP Sales and Business Development. I was in charge of understanding why the product that was commercial is not booming as everyone expected. But very, very quickly, I realized that the company is in a financial distress. and it's not going, in the right direction that they thought. It was about 7 years old and had multiple rounds of investment. So, and because it was so stagnant, it was very hard to get more money into the company. That was back in 2019. And so I remember knowing the main investors. We've worked together for 15 years, so we have, communicated before. And they asked me, what do you think? Your insight is important to us. And I said, well, I don't know. I don't know anything about women's health, who the players are, who's the investors, the market, who are the... And so I did my check. And specifically for OCON, I saw that, we sit on a gold mine of data, of patents, of technology. And I tried the first product myself. It's a copper IUD, and I loved it. And I thought to myself, we can't close this company. This would be crazy. And together with the investors, all of them pro rata put some money together. We decided to go on this crazy journey. And they said, we're looking for a partner. Would you take this on? And I said, you need to bring a CEO that knows how to do strategy. And so, like I said, 25 kilos later and 3 years, it's been a crazy journey. But I can say today, looking back, it was worth it. We're doing incredible things. We have clinical studies going on with really encouraging data. Our partners are joining us even financially. And so it's really been a great journey. And I'm looking forward to the next couple of years to really bring these products to market.
Very interesting. So, what do you think are the reasons for not really, the product being sold out? Is it does the market really need it, or is it poor leadership, or what? Why do most startups fail?
Well, it's a good question, and there's no one, good or right answer. I think it's always a combination. When I talk and I mentor, I always take, the 4 pillars of getting, a startup going. And I think it starts with funding. You can have a great, idea, but if you don't have money to execute, so you need the funding. And then it's your board, your team, and your product. So these are the main, pillars of getting a startup to be a success. And if we go through those pillars, we know that, all right, fundraising, you need to know, where you're going and who you're talking to. And, if you're a very early stage, don't talk to a VC. They'll always say no because you're too young. And if you're later stage, if you talk to angels, it's overwhelming for them. You're too big. And so you really got to tailor and get, funded and be creative. And so that's, number one. And I think, that some startups may be stuck on where, the approach is or what they need. Sometimes they're looking for too much money with high valuation. Sometimes it's too little money and then they're unbelievable. And it's just, it's a very, fine game of how much money you're looking for, from whom, and at what stage. So that's the fundraising. But when we go deeper into the board, for example, one of the things that OCON didn't have was an international, very sophisticated board that has, industry experts. So we have incredible financial support and board members, but they're just financial board members. They don't necessarily come from women's health. And so attaining talent onto the board sends 3 big, strong messages. One, someone believes in this product enough to, or this company, or this management, or, the space to join. And second, these talents could be easily networked into getting more funding and more expertise. And 3, that once you have someone who's independent, but has the power to make decisions on strategy, I think that gives the company a lot of leeway when other investors look in and say, okay, this person joined and this person has an ability to create impact from a board seat. I think that's a very, very important way. And also, when I talk about boards, I think people sometimes believe that boards are there to help the CEO create strategy. But, we know best. We're the CEOs. We know our business. I think boards are there to be a sanity check. But I think boards are there more to flaunt and to say, look who's sitting on my board. Look who's helping me make these decisions. And I think boards should be treated that way. So it's good to have, strong investors, but it's also super, super important to have industry expert that can share their network and that can help you think and realize, your specific market area. So that's on the board front. And then we look at the team, and that's something I always say, I could never, ever do this alone. Ever. There's no way. I'm just the cheerleader. The team does all the work. I get to talk about it, and fundraise. But yeah, you need a really great, strong, team around you that believes in you and believes in the product and believes in the board and believes in the cause. I always say that when we fundraise, some of these investors, it's a business for them, right? They don't care. But for us, it's really a cause. We really want to bring these products to market. We want to make sure to really impact the lives of women all over the world. And so, it's a very delicate balance, but where it really comes to life is on your team. We're 85% women. You see the passion in the eyes of my team. I sometimes sit in awe and listen to them, progress and learn and feed into the company. It's really, really great and very satisfying. And the team could be 2-3 people, and the team could be 20-30 people. But there needs to be, a good team around you. And if there's anyone that has a little doubt or is not on board, switch them around. It's okay. We can deal with any change as long as there's commitment to learn. And so the team, I saw online the meaning of team. Together, everyone achieves more. I really think that's a good kind of, out of team and what it means. And so, yeah. So we talked about fundraising, board, team, and then the product. And that's also where I think OCON had a little bit more struggle, is that we didn't understand the product entirely. The first product that we brought to market really acted as a proof of concept to see, would women wear it? Could doctors use it? And I think that we built a lot on this product, but also we didn't understand that it's just a copper IUD. At the end of the day, it's not a better product in terms of efficacy. 99% is 99%. And I think that the expectation from this product were so high that, very quickly the realization that it's just a copper IUD, was very, very hurtful to the company. Today, after an abundance of data on over 130,000 women that are using the device, we see the advantages in the safety. We see the advantages in the lifestyle. But there are really no advantages in the efficacy. And so these are things that, you learn with time, but also, I tell entrepreneurs, you can have a great product, but you need to understand who it fits, who it's for, what are the real strengths and weaknesses, and who your competitors are. When I hear, entrepreneurs say, "Oh, we have no competition," yeah, no way. You have competition.
A very unique idea.
The product, it could be a different, but you always have competition. So you really need to understand who your competitors are. What's the realm? What benefits you bring? What's your pricing structure? How you get to market, do a test market. So there's a lot of things that we can do to learn more about our product before we, create stories behind it that are just not reasonable.
Wow, learned a ton, especially the product. Who is it really for? You really need to have the buyer persona. I mean, the specific person who will use it. And you said 130,000 women are using it now.
I got to tell you a funny story about that, about product market fit. So our copper IUD is a copper IUD. It's just the same as a T-shaped IUD, only in a ball, of course, with its advantages. But I remember visiting our first distributor ever. I think they were in Europe. And I saw all the information and marketing information is younger women, right? Because it's a very small ball. And so obviously it fits younger women. It also fits younger women. And I said to him, I said, when you have marketing only towards younger women that are known to expel, IUDs anyway at a higher rate, this causes bias for the product, because if we only insert into younger women, because this is a smaller, more fun product, we will have more expulsions just because they expelled this product more, and this will create bias. And I said, you have to find the perfect woman for the product. And he said, so what's the perfect woman? And I said, me. And he said, think about it. Over the age of 40, has experience with copper IUDs, already has kids, and doesn't have very heavy bleeding. And so this profile of a patient fits the product, at least in the beginning. Then you can go and look for other markets and other niches to introduce your product. So you really have to, and that became a joke, within the company, Karen's the perfect woman, Karen's the perfect woman. But it's true. You have to find the perfect customer for the product to make sure that you have the right launch. And so now we're making sure that that's abided by.
And what is the change in the lifestyle? I mean, yes, how did this improve your health or women's health? Do you have a user story?
I do. First of all, I'm a story, but I'm biased. So
Yeah.
we get a lot of women writing to us. I can show you, these are T-shaped IUDs. And when you look at OCON's ballerine, hold on, I'll show you in a second. You see already that in terms of size, we're about a third, right? So they both have the same mechanism of action. They're both copper IUDs. But these IUDs, if they malposition and the uterus starts, contracting on such a stick, it's painful. And it creates abrasion and it creates bleeding. And so quality of life goes down. To insert these devices, take a very thick insertion tube because these wings have to kind of fold down or fold up. So it's a very thick. OCON's ball has the thinnest insertion tube. So the whole process of insertion and the whole lifestyle of us being able to kind of have the contractions on top of the ball is very, very comfortable. A lot less bleeding, a lot less pain, and there's no malposition, right? A ball stays a ball no matter which way it turns inside the uterine cavity. And so we saw that the platform to deliver drugs on a ball makes a lot more sense. Although also by the way it folds into the women, uterus, into that cavity. And so on top of this, we're now developing an array of different balls to introduce different medications.
For someone who has not experienced IUD like myself, I think, that doesn't scare me. But the other one, like the T-shaped, causes bleeding
I agree.
just by hearing it, right? Like,
And too bad, IUDs are the number one safe and efficacious contraceptives. They really are. They're much safer than the pill. Their side effects are a lot less. And they're there. One of my board members says, set it and forget it. It's true. You set it and forget it for years. Some of these could live in their uterus for 5 years. Some of them could live longer, 6, 7, even 10 years. So you set it and forget it. And so it's a shame women don't use them more, but you're right. The fear of insertion, the fear of pain, the experience with the insertion and the pain many times get women, a little bit more deterred from using them.
yes, completely agree, 100%. So, what change do you want to see in the world?
Ay. Can we solve world hunger? What change? I think we're seeing it now.
Yes.
I think we're seeing it now when we're experiencing now. I'm seeing a lot of efforts and a little bit more money and attention going into women's health. OCON this year, 2022, was named a technology pioneer by the World Economic Forum. Of course, it's great for us, but it also means that the World Economic Forum is looking at women's health and looking to change policy. And so that's great news, right? So women's health is becoming a topic, it's becoming discussed. And so we're now seeing the change that I'd like to see and continue to see grow with more funding, with more mergers and acquisitions, and with more solutions for women that are specifically tailored to our anatomy and to our metabolism. That's something I would really love to see, come to life.
Yes, and come 2023, right? So we're almost over 2022, right?
Yes.
What are you going to double down?
Well, we have a lot of challenges in 2023.
Yeah.
Most
What?
of them,
Okay, go
most
ahead.
of them are getting our products to the U.S. I think the U.S. market is a very important and market for these products, and so I think most of our efforts are going to be to bring these products through FDA in clinical studies, and of course also continue to grow our market outside the U.S. with our ballerine, and hopefully try to create at least one or two more working prototypes of these balls for the indications that I mentioned, such as fibroids and such as endometriosis. So we have our hands full for next year. Yeah.
Interesting times. Interesting times. Okay, so as a woman, right? I see you as a very empowered woman, confident. So, um, I mean, not okay. Aside from OCON Health, now it's Keren Leshem. So, what does success look like to you personally? I mean, outside work. So, just you personally, how do you see success?
Just wake up in the morning with a smile. And
I love
I
that.
think that's success, right? And it means something to everyone. You can wake up in the morning with a smile because of your family, and someone else can wake up in the morning with a smile also because of their family, but also because of their work. And someone else can wake up in the morning with a smile because what they're studying. And so I think success really, at the end of the day, means wake up in the morning with a smile and start your day, with some purpose. And again, it could be school, it could be your family, it could be your work. Whatever it is, that's to me the most important meaning of success. People say money, people say clothes, or people say, friendships, but I really think at the end of the day, it's a little bit of everything. And so as long as you wake up smiling, and happy, I think that's the best notion of success that you could, wish for yourself and for your loved ones.
Yeah, I agree. Like they say, not all people who have money are happy,
Exactly.
but right.
And
But yeah, waking up with us.
not all people that are poor are unhappy, right?
Exactly, exactly. Well, I love that.
Things like that.
Okay, and but sometimes there are really days, bad days. Life
Of
really gets in
course.
the way. Life happens,
Of
right?
course.
And so, how do you empower yourself, or do you have a mantra, or who do you go to? Where do you go
Oh,
to?
definitely carbs. You know, a good cake or yeah, definitely carbs. I'm again very fortunate to have a team that I work with that I can talk to and really share. Things that we're going through. Some of us are getting a little older, towards the age of 50, and are seeing this hormonal cycle that is changing. But really, I'm very fortunate to have family and a team and a relationship that are also supportive. And so I really feel blessed that I have a place to do these outlets. And at work, you can do things that are work related, and at home, you can do things that are more home related. But they intertwine, right? At the end of the day, we spend so many hours at work. It's almost like our
Yeah.
family, even more. And so I feel very fortunate that I have outlets to talk about things, with my team and with my spouse and with my friends. Yeah, I'm very, very fortunate. I always say that the three pillars of success is knowledge, right? You got to know what you're dealing with because you'll need to have knowledge, your network, and daring, right? So you need a network and you need to dare. But the network is super important because there you always have someone that can help you. If it's a medical problem or if it's a physical problem or if it's an emotional problem, that's all part of your network, which also means your family, right? So yeah, I'm very fortunate to have so many people of influence around me supporting me. I'm very lucky.
Yes, how interesting is having, you said 85% of your team are women?
Yes.
So women are like, okay, chit chatty. So I can imagine like when you're having a meeting and everyone like just talks and have fun conversation.
But let me tell you
But
something
what
about that. I was actually asked once, what's the hardest thing about, managing so many women? And I always say,
that's what I'm gonna
yeah,
ask.
getting to my office in the morning because blah, 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 we always talk. But I can tell you something else about women. Because we're always so busy, family and this and that and the other and work, we're so good at time management, right? And so when we need to get to work, we get to work. It's amazing to see when you know you got to leave early because you got to pick up your kids from some, daycare or school or whatever. You have those hours and you're so into the work. I love it. And so while we chit chat and blah, 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 and have all this, fun kind of, complaining about everything about our spouses and our kids and, how much weight we gained, I think that, women specifically are so good at multitasking. And when they need to get the task done, they just get it done. I love my team for that because we're so, focused on getting stuff done. And so on the one hand, you can laugh that we talk a lot, but on the other hand, we move so quickly. I'm so proud of them, really.
But so there are also men in the team, right? Do they
Of course.
feel like, okay, we are like dominated with men, with women? What are we gonna do? How does that go?
Oh, they know everyone's, cycle. They know everything about, fibroids and endometriosis, and they can talk about, women hormones. You will be
Hormone.
surprised. Yeah.
That's weird. Okay.
Listen, the man on my team, I would never replace him in the world. My CFO, I mean, he's the best thing that ever happened, to this company ever. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that because he's a man or because he's a woman. I got that asked as well. In a session I led, how is it to be a woman leading a company and raising money? And I never saw myself as a woman. I always saw myself as a professional, right? Now that I deal in women's health, it's more, bothering me that I see women's health companies, led and managed all by men. Who's your reference point to, oh, this is great or this is bad? But I don't see myself as a woman or a man. I see myself as a professional. And also with the team, I prefer to have women because we deal in women's health. So there's a lot more passion involved when women come, and they could be anywhere in the manufacturing room, in our labs with our research and development, in our clinical team, our medical team, regulatory, quality, you name it. There's a lot more passion, but I wouldn't replace the men in my team with me, for sure.
If it's not like, if they cannot relate or if they're not going to use it, well, their wives are going to use it. So it's still beneficial.
Exactly. You're so right. I always say we're in the business of making women happy and calm. And when women are happy and calm, home is calm, husbands are calm, bosses are calm, workers are calm. Everyone's just calm. Exactly.
Yes, they say happy wife, happy life.
Life.
So I'm
Second time I
sure.
heard that this week.
So it's really win-win. I mean,
Exactly.
to be there.
Exactly.
Okay,
You got
so
it. You got it.
okay. Any other question? So how to restart a startup? Yes, you have to check. I mean, the fundraising, right? You answered about diagnose the problems and the board, how to build a team. Is there any other tips or any other that I forgot to ask you?
Yeah, take a deep breath. I heard the notion of anti-fragile. And anti-fragile means that the more stress put on a certain object makes it stronger, doesn't actually break it. And so read the book, Anti-Fragile. I got that, notion from my mentor, Dr. Auerbach. And it's very, very good notion to understand that, sometimes pressure is put on us, but it actually makes us stronger. And more resilient. And so yeah, anti-fragile. That's my biggest tip. And, build a skin of a, very thick skin. I always say that I can find 2,000 people in 1 second to tell you why this is a bad idea and it will never work and no one will buy it. And, someone must have thought of it before, and all these, lovely people that, give you their advice. The hard ones to find are the ones that support you. So hold on to them and, make them part of your team and your support and your network. So that's really, my takeaway from this craziness journey.
Anti-fragile mindset.
Yeah.
Like go ahead with the rejection and all those. It will make you resilient.
Exactly.
And I can see it very much.
Exactly.
If I can like talk with you for 1 hour, like, okay, wow, very, very fun conversation. I'm really learning. I can relate to this product, and I wish you all the best. I mean, really looking forward to 2023 where you make, revolutionary
Yes.
transformation and impact to the world,
Yes.
especially women.
Thank you. Thank you, May. This was such a lovely
Thank
time to meet and conversation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And can you say, Karen, like, hello, I'm Karen, and I'm on the I Am podcast?
Of course. Hello, I'm Karen, and I'm on the I Am podcast.
Yay! This podcast is powered by imops.io. Optimize your cloud infrastructure and CI/CD process with imops.io dedicated DevOps team. Check out www.imops.io and get a DevOps team now. Make sure to check out www.imops.io if you want to know more about us. Subscribe to our podcast so you can get notified every time we post a new video. Thank you, and you have a great day.